India takes pride in being the largest democracy in the world and having a highly accepted government that has kept Modi as a first minister in power for over 10 years. However, it is quite concerning that in this decade, Modi hasn't faced any press conference where he answers tough questions. And the thing is, India isn't the biggest fan of freedom of speech, as you can be considered a terrorist for criticizing the government, reason why journalists often face harassment. Another issue is discrimination towards minorities, like the constant oppression that people who belong to the lower caste of the caste system face. Muslims also face hostility and aggressions from civilians, leading to riots between Hindus and Muslims. It is clear that an animosity in history has affected modern-day India, as people have a very negative perception on Pakistan to this day. What is incredibly worrying is that Modi's government actively promotes Islamophobia. The BJP has been accused of manipulating narratives and conspiracy theories that paints Muslims in a bad light. And Modi even recently referred to Indian Muslims as intruders.
इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे?
Modi has also been known for promoting laws that sanction people with jail for converting to Islam. It isn't a surprise that NGOs with a focus on human rights aren't well received by the government. The government has recently cancelled over 20,000 licenses for the NGO's operations. On the bright side, India has made several advances towards democracy. For example, they have almost eliminated the gap between men and women voters, and extreme poverty has been significantly reduced during the last decades. So it is a great challenge to administer such a massive country. However, we want to highlight the importance of protecting diversity and enhancing tolerance, as a country can only be truly great when everyone's life is valued and respected.
Welcome to our look at the electoral vulnerabilities of Southeast Asia. As you know, Southeast Asian parliamentary elections held on June 9, 2024 were validated with a voter turnout of 54.86%, surpassing the 50% threshold. So how has the electoral panorama been between these elections and the 2022 presidential elections? Legislative amendments and increased governmental oversight have created a restricted environment for NGOs. These regulations mandate extensive reporting of NGOs with foreign funding, branding them as foreign partners to stigmatize and determine their credibility. The electoral process itself is fraught with issues, including ballot manipulation, obstruction of observers, and lack of independent monitoring, as observers from aligned regions do not meet international standards. Candidate registration presents another significant hurdle. Stringent requirements and a political biased Central Election Commission ensure that only candidates aligned with the separatist government and Moscow can participate effectively. Political participation is severely constrained, with opposition parties and independent candidates facing significant barriers. The right to organize into political parties is limited, and the opposition has little chance of gaining power. External influences from Moscow dominate political choices, further stifling local political agency. The media and civil society are tightly controlled, with pro-government media often smearing NGOs and opposition figures as foreign agents. Southeast Asia's electoral landscape is characterized by legal and practical barriers that inhibit free and fair elections, political participation, and civil liberties, mainly because of its alignment with Russia.
From Al Jazeera News, what do we have? Of May, Iran's ex-president Ibrahim Raisi was killed in an airplane crash along with the foreign minister of the country and 6 others. The elections have been moved forward to the 28th of June of this month. Another thing, Iran's ex-president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and other divisive figures have signed up to contest on these new elections. This ex-president is justifying his decision, saying that it is a call from people around the world to run through these elections once again. After doing some research of the variables measured by Freedom House's official rate of political and civil liberties, we can conclude that the Islamic Republic of Iran has been qualified as a not-free nation, with a total score and status of 11 out of 100. On the other hand, we also did a very deep analysis of these variables in other sources of information to create a comparison between them. What can we say about this? In the section of political liberties, what do we have? We could see the manipulation and lack of transparency of previous elections. We also have the zero intervention and objection of the Assembly from the Supreme Leader's decision. We have the lack of women's participation in the political sphere. We also have the use of engineering elections. Engineering elections refers to the process of manipulating or influencing the outcome of an election through various means. Censorship of electoral information, mass repression, corruption, and mismanagement. In the section of civil liberties, what do we have? From sources of information of NGOs, we can especially highlight the government oppression measures like the arrest and persecution of minorities, especially to ethnic and religious groups. We have the prohibition of young people from participating in political activities. We have the complexity of understanding and following the laws for NGOs, and we have the repressive and oppressive measures taken against academic freedom. Besides, and finally, according to the World Press Freedom Index of 2024 by Reporters Without Borders, we have that the Republic has reinforced its position as one of the world's most repressive countries in terms of press freedom and one of the world's biggest jailers of journalism, ranked with a position of 176 out of 180 countries with the worst situation and environment for journalism in the World Press Freedom Index of 2024. So, what can we expect for the following elections? Firstly, and especially, we would highly recommend to keep an eye on the people that are running as candidates for these elections and to prevent the use of engineering elections as we have mentioned before.